What modifications do you need to do to your car first to start making power? Now, we've already discussed gears, we've already discussed tires, subframe connectors, but if you want to start making power, there's a certain set of rules that you really need to follow, or else this could end bad. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's video. You're ready to make some power in your FoxBody. First step is learning what you have. And the reason for saying that is you may have a car that's already had a set of pistons in it. So here's a quick way that you can find out. I know this is gonna sound crazy, but in this package is what you're gonna need. So let me get this thing out and show you. This is gonna be one of the first things that you need if you bought a FoxBody off somebody and you don't know what's in it. It's a bore scope. That's right, a bore scope. The reason for the bore scope is so that you can take a spark plug out, run this thing down in there and check your piston. This is an aftermarket piston, and you can see just how big these fly cuts are. In a stock piston, they're not gonna be that big, okay? So this is just kind of for reference. If you run that bore scope down there and you find out that you've got big old pistons like that, there's a chance you can get away with more camshaft. How much can you get away with? We don't know that. But you still need to know what you're working with. I mean, does this thing have aftermarket pistons? Trust me, it's worth it. You don't have to go buy some fancy bore scope. You can get a cheap one. Run it down in there, see if you got aftermarket pistons. Now, what this will allow you to do is be able to run a bigger camshaft. And there are certain tests you can run without pulling your engine apart. There's a drop test on the valve that you can do to see how much clearance you got in there. Why is that important? What does it truly matter? Maybe I just want a B cam or a trick flow stage 1 camshaft, then it doesn't matter. If that's you, don't worry about it. But if you're wanting to go bigger and you want more power, bigger chop, you're gonna need to know what kind of pistons you got. I'm not gonna dive into that because that gets a little tricky. After you've checked that and you found out, man, I got stock pistons, this is pretty simple. I'm not gonna go through every cam option you got. I'm just gonna go ahead and remind you guys of the camshafts that I like. I like the Anderson B21, the Anderson N21, N41, the B cam, the E cam, the trick flow stage 1 camshaft. Those are typically the ones that I would go to. The old Wolverine 1087, I think, camshaft. If you can find one of those, good luck though. You're limited on camshaft, but it's not a problem. The other thing you have to consider is what type of rocker arm do you have? Now, maybe they're stock stamped rocker arms. If that's the case and they're stock stamped, then you should be good, possibly even up to an F cam. If you're running 1.6s, which is Ford's factory ratio, then you're good. 1.7s, you're basically going to be adding 30 thousandths of lift. Camshaft is obviously going to be one of the first things that a lot of people want to do. But that's not the whole story. We really need an intake and we need a set of heads. So this is kind of a package deal. Hey, that's why you see HCI, heads, cam, intake all over the place, because it's a package deal. So I'm gonna roll with you guys that have stock bottom ends at the moment. In the next video, we'll talk about some more beefy, meaty setups for when you got fly cut pistons and stuff like that. But for right now, pick yourself one of those cams. There's not that much of a difference, so it's not really gonna matter in power. You're gonna need a set of heads though. I still recommend to this day a set of GT40, either 3-bar or P heads. Just know the P heads are a freaking nightmare. I don't like running them just because of how aggravating they are, but you can run the short plugs, you can run different degree boots. There's even headers out there that are supposed to work with them, but I don't know. They're aggravating, but they will make good power. Now, next up, we're gonna talk about a free modification if you did pick up a set of GT40 heads, or maybe, just maybe, you got an extra set of E7s laying around and you wanna clean them up. Let me show you something. A lot of horsepower in this tool right here. Yeah, trust me. You can get a lot more power out of your car if you'll just take the time, go to Harbor Freight, pick these little bird bits up. They're expensive. Pick them up and clean those heads up. Now, I actually have a video where we did that. You can port match. You can port match to your exhaust gasket and also on your intake side. Don't go too crazy with it. Just clean them up. If there's a smog bump in there, go ahead and get that thing out. I'm telling you, there's free horsepower right here. Well, I think it's about 50 bucks for these things. GT40 heads, clean them up at home, put them on the car. Stock E7 heads, clean them up, put them back on the car. Now you got yourself a cam, you got yourself some decent heads. What about intake? Guys, it's gonna be Explorer intake all day long. And the reason being is because you can find these things pretty much anywhere. They're all over eBay, people have them. I've actually got a couple of them in my shed already. So you got your camshaft. You know what you're working with there. You cleaned up your GT40 heads or your stock heads. You got your intake now. GT40 Explorer intake is really all that you need on top of this. Also, take the time to clean up that intake as well to port match it to get yourself some more flow. Doing these things will absolutely make your car a screamer, where the next guy that's got the same setup over here scratching his head like, we got the same setup. Why is this car faster? Well, it's because you took the time to clean the heads up. You took the time to port match intake heads, and you got yourself a good little camshaft. Now, hear me out, guys. This is going to make all the difference in the world, and most people do not want to spend the money on this, but it is so worth it. That is going to be valve springs. Hear me out. They're not that expensive. I think they're around 200 bucks. You can call up Anderson Ford and you can get yourself some of these valve springs. You can order them anywhere, but Donnie B knows which ones you need. Let's say you got a set of stock heads or GT40 heads. They take the same valve spring. You put a good set of valve springs on a car with a B cam, an E cam, a stage 1 trick flow, whatever it is, that car is going to, one thing, sound better. It's going to hit harder. It's also going to run better. It's going to run up higher in the RPMs. Now, what we've done is we've created a nice tight little engine that's got good valve train, it's got some roller rockers, it's got heads, and it's got a cam. You'd be surprised at how good this thing's gonna run. Now, next up, everybody's gonna ask, like, what about injectors? What about throttle body? Injectors, I'm not a 24-pound injector kind of guy. Leave your 19s in it if that's what you're gonna do. 19s? No, you'll melt it down, right? It's gonna run lean. You can't do that. Well, why are you telling people to do that? I'm telling you because I've done it, and I've looked at my AFR gauge, and it's always been fine with 19-pound injectors with heads, cam, intake. Not a crazy big head, not a crazy big cam. 19s were fine. But you guys aren't going to be happy with that. You're going to want some injectors. Already know. So which injectors? I suggest 30-pound injectors to 36-pound injectors, somewhere in that realm. 24s is just not worth it. There's not enough of a bump there. 19 to 24, that is not a big jump. Back in the day, we didn't know any better. Like, a lot of people weren't running around with AFR gauges. Word of mouth, rule of thumb was always run 24s or bigger. Today, we know that the 19s actually supply enough fuel. There's also a trick. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys a little bit of information here. There's a little trick you can do. You can bump up that fuel pressure just a little bit, and it works. This car has 60-pound injectors in it, and it's running 3840 PSI of fuel pressure. As we add more boost, it adds more fuel pressure. Well, why is that? Because more fuel pressure means more fuel. More fuel makes car happy. Now let's talk about throttle bodies. Most people put way too big of a throttle body on these cars at this stage with this type of setup, and it's not needed. I've actually got a throttle body over here to show you guys. I think it's right chon. This is actually going to go on date night on Ben's car. This was one that was originally going to go on the Carbon Fox, I think. That's pretty, isn't it? You want this. I know you do. Like, something about how pretty and shiny it is, you want it. Don't buy it. You don't need it. You don't need it. Look at that. Check this out. Scoop. Do you see that? Can you see me in there? That thing is overkill for what most of us need. Now, why is that? The engine is only going to suck in and or need so much air. So it doesn't hurt necessarily to have that big of a throttle body, but it definitely doesn't help. Your throttle sometimes gets tight with a bigger throttle body. Now, why is that? It's kind of hard to explain, but the bigger that blade is, the more air that's pushing against it, it doesn't want to move. It gets real tight to move, right? So it has to break that barrier, and once it does, then the air can rush by. So what happens sometimes with these big throttle bodies is that big blade doesn't want to move, and then when it finally does, it wants to go wide open. I've not noticed it as much like lately, but back in the day, maybe it was a difference in the throttle bodies and stuff, but that used to be a common issue. Whatever, 70mm throttle body, 65, whatever, you'll be fine. Cold air kits, we got to talk about them. Are they needed? No. Nope, they're absolutely not needed with the setups that we're talking about right now. With a build like this, don't waste your money on a cold air kit unless you think they're pretty, but at least get one that goes into the fender well. Don't get one of the hot air kits, right, that just hangs out right there in the engine bay just sucking up shit. These stock air boxes in these cars are not that bad. Put yourself a nice K&N filter in it, clean the oil out of the filter, dry it out, and you should be good to go. Obviously, a set of headers. Guys, find yourself a set of used headers. Don't worry about long tubes. At this point, unless you find a good deal on it, I know all these little things add up. So I'm gonna say this, if you can find a good deal on some, and that's truly what you want, then go ahead and get them. My point in saying this though, the reason why I wanna clarify on this is because a lot of guys think long tubes make more power, period, point blank. There is no discussion. You can feel it. Not necessarily. I mean, they'll typically make a touch more torque or power, but at this level, at this horsepower level, it's actually not that noticeable at all. So you do want to buy for the future, sure. So if you can find a good price, get them. But if not, a set of shorties will be just fine. 1 5/8 will be perfect for this setup. I'm going to give you guys one bonus tip, and man, I hate to even share this. You can port your headers. Now, this is going to be hard to show, and you might not be able to see it. I'm going to try my best to explain this. Why you want to port your headers. Can you guys see that weld? Just on the inner lip right there, that weld. See how it kind of hangs out? Well, for one thing, look at the gasket. So the gasket's a good bit bigger than the header. That's not really that much of a problem. You don't want to truly port match this. And trust me, you don't have much metal here to work with, but you can clean up the inside of these headers with that burr bit I showed you, and you can absolutely increase flow because see, it opens up in there past that. Everything starts to open up. So if you can get that weld out right there, some secret horsepower shit. Nobody does. Nobody takes the time to port their headers, but you have to be very careful. You don't have any wall, like sidewall, meaning the tubing that the header's made out of, there's not much metal there. Just be careful, guys. We've done it, and it works great. Your car will sound better, it's gonna flow better, and everything's gonna be port matched, if you will. Let's talk about fuel systems. I recommend just going with a 340 pump. Go find yourself a cheap 340 pump, drop it in the car. You don't need upgraded fuel rails at this point. You don't need anything different other than a 340 pump. That's it. It's very simple, right? Drop it in, good to go. Adjustable regulator, you gotta have that. And you can buy the adjustable regulator that just goes on the fuel rail. That's what I recommend for you guys at this level. So we're getting very close to the end of this build, but there's one thing that we've not talked about. And guys, I highly recommend you do this. For some of you guys doing this, you can get a calibrated mass airflow sensor. I'm not going to tell you not to do that because it does work, but I highly recommend you guys just go with the Terminator X and be done with it. But hear me out. You don't have to pull all the wiring out of your car. No more. You don't have to do that. MF Customs, man, they've solved that problem. Now you can buy a Terminator X, plop it right into the factory harness, right there in the kick panel. Now you can get your car tuned. Now we can start making some power. You will notice a difference with a good tune, I promise you. If you don't want to go Terminator X, this exact setup that I just gave you, leave 19-pound injectors in it, call it a day. You don't even need to tune the car. More than likely, because I don't want to say absolutely because it gets a little dicey. More than likely, your car is going to run just fine without a tune. Would a tune help? Sure, but you're not going to need it. So obviously, this goes along with some gears, some tires, because you're going to need tires at this point. We base this off of a stock bottom end car. We talked about the B cam, the E cam, the stage 1 trick flow camshaft, some of the smaller Anderson cams. There's plenty of comp cams out there. You can go custom grind if you want to. It's up to you, but you're going with that small cam. If you can get away with it, put 1.7s on it, roller rockers. If not, keep your 1.6s on it. Do your math, figure this out. Know what you're doing before you get into it. Don't base your cam selection off of me telling you this on this video. Do your research on that. I'm telling you that these cams work great, but I can't guarantee anything for you, okay? This little car is going to be a screamer. That build with a set of 410 gears and a set of Mickey Thompsons on the back, you learn to slip the clutch and pull it, it's gonna roll. Like, it'll surprise you. It's running in the 7s. That setup right there, probably capable of 760s, I would think, probably somewhere in there if you pushed it hard. It's absolutely a 7-second build, and I know that. Why? Because of the poop coupe. Basically the same thing. Stock bottom end, Anderson N41 camshaft, stock ported heads, carburetor intake, ran 790, well, 801, but don't tell anybody. We're claiming 790s, only on like 2 passes. So this is your stock bottom end style build right here. This would be the budget, nasty little setup that will absolutely outrun a car with big aluminum heads and maybe even a bigger camshaft than you. More throttle body, more intake, because you're at the manageable power now. I would say you're at the brink of having a little too much power, but you still should be able to hook this on a nice set of tires. I know it's a lot to digest, and it's really hard to put it on paper for you guys. This is a good running setup right here. And maybe I missed a thing or two in there, I'm not quite sure, because I always just kind of shoot from the hip, but chances are I got you pretty damn close on this. I'll backtrack through a couple of other things that I mentioned. A soft clutch from, say, like a Riley or something like that will be just fine for this build. 14 gears, some exhaust, whatever you can find, throw it on the car, you should be good. Yeah, a little potent setup. All right, well look, this was part 3 of the build series. Part 4, we're probably gonna dive into the aftermarket piston setup, aftermarket bottom end stuff. We're still not going crazy like race car shit, but I'm gonna give you guys a very good combination with that'll work as well. And we're gonna step the camshaft size up, heads, all sorts of other things. Also, don't forget, you can always go carbureted. You can actually make more power consistently with a carbureted car. Catch you in the next one, and as always, thanks for watching. This will be our first shopping spree ever done on the channel. Here's how it works. You're gonna go over to Patreon and sign up. There's 3 different tiers. There's a $20, $40, and $100. The $20 is 1 entry, the $40 is 2 entries, and the $100 automatically gives you 5 entries. You can cancel at any time if you would like. I recommend that you stay, obviously, to help out the channel, and also you're automatically entered for the next month's giveaway. You don't have to keep re-upping. The drawing will take place on January 31st, so the amount that you have to spend on your shopping spree is directly related to how many people sign up as members. The sky's the limit. This could go huge and be $10,000, or it could be $200. It's completely dependent on you. With that being said, good luck, everybody.